What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A and our new filming area, which is still kind of a work in progress, but our first question comes from Flash Turtle, who asks how we would feel about Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine if the Obi-Wan series happens.
All right, so we're shooting this on Thursday. The Disney Plus stuff happens tomorrow to us.
Yeah.
I'm kind of banking on fingers crossed that they announce an Obi-Wan series.
Is that why there's two Obi-Wan questions
I think
in a
there's
row?
3.
Oh.
So yeah, I kind of front-loaded some Obi-Wan questions in the hopes that it happens. So yeah, would I be okay with him leaving Tatooine? It's not really my first choice. I would prefer he stay on Tatooine. I guess in my mind, I don't know why he would ever leave, because Luke should be his number one priority now.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my mind, he just stayed there for 19 years, and I never imagined him going elsewhere.
I don't know. Like, if there's going to be an Obi-Wan series, I struggle to think what it would be about if he didn't leave Tatooine.
I think that they could get around him not leaving by doing flashbacks or something like that. Or I still think there's plenty for him to do on Tatooine. And, I mean, I've heard rumblings that, yeah, the story is about him leaving Tatooine and just, like, telling Uncle Owen, hey, look after Luke a little extra hard for the next week or so.
I like the idea of him leaving just because it would take something really big for him to leave.
That's true.
And that would give us a really big addition to the storyline. So I guess I'm sort of hoping he does leave, but it's got to be for a really good reason.
I think that's a good point, that if he were to leave, then yeah, there is probably a very good reason, a very exciting reason. I guess my worry is that whatever they think up, if that happens, then I will be like, that's not a good enough reason. He's just like,
it's not good enough.
I ran out of milk and I have to go down the street to Geonosis. They don't have milk. I don't know.
Down the street.
Just like, he's going to go borrow a cup of sugar from the Geonosians. But yeah, I'm not crazy about the idea, but at this point, I mean, who knows? I haven't heard anything about it, and there might be an excellent reason. And if it does happen, I'll just be like, okay, I have to accept that. He left Tatooine, and that's fine.
It's going to be really funny when the series gets announced. Not only does it get announced, we get exactly what it's going to be about, and many of these questions will be
just moot.
Yeah. Rick Villanueva wants to know if we want the said Obi-Wan series to have one continuous arc or tell individual stories every episode.
I think that with Disney Plus, all of these streaming things, well, now that I say that, like, in my mind, things on Netflix come out and you can just binge it all. So Stranger Things works very well in just, I could sit down and watch that all at once, and it's one continuous story. But, like, The Mandalorian is going to be a weekly thing from everything we've heard so far, and I think that's the right move. So I guess if it's a weekly thing like that, I'm kind of thinking something like Veronica Mars, hear me out, in that Veronica Mars has an overarching mystery for every season, but then every episode is like a little mini mystery for her to solve.
Right, it's like Buffy.
Right.
Like every good show ever.
Yeah. There's an overarching story to the season, but there are also these little mini adventures, and ideally those mini adventures help build towards the bigger story. So I think kind of a mixture of both of those is what I would ideally want.
Yeah, I was going to say both. But I do want a very clear, like you said, overall storyline arc. But I would like to see, flashbacks or, I don't know, dream sequences. I don't know.
He could have some sort of Force quest vision thing.
Yeah, he could be, meditating, hanging out in, what was it, Force Skype?
Yeah, with Yoda. Or yeah, they can do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think my gut is telling me that it's going to be more serialized, that it will probably just be one long story. But I guess, especially since from everything we've heard, it was originally going to be a movie. This was going to be a 2-hour story, and I have complete faith that they can adapt it in a good way to stretch it out. But if that's what they're doing, then it was originally going to be this thing that you could sit and watch at once. And I think they're probably just going to break that one long story up into chapters.
Yeah. Eric Coach asks if Obi Wan and Vader could have another confrontation based on the Return of the Jedi line Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
So I've already talked about the rumblings I've heard, and I think I specifically heard this from Collider Jedi Council, and Christian Harloff has said this a couple times, that they did base the movie originally, now the series, on that line. Obi-Wan once thought as you do that Vader could be redeemed. So I think that the big thing that would get him off of Tatooine is that he learns Darth Vader is still alive, and he's going to go try to face him again, see if he can bring Anakin back. Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard. And I'm on the fence about if that's big enough, or if Obi-Wan had just accepted that, yeah, Anakin's gone.
I wonder if, let's say, Obi-Wan's on Tatooine watching from afar Luke grow up, and he starts to see a spark in Luke and starts to think, you know, he might really be someone someday, and then he finds out Vader's alive, and he's like, well, I gotta go find him and try again.
Like to finish the job, or to bring Anakin back? To
bring Anakin back because of his son and his son's potential.
Maybe. Like, in my mind, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan's like, Anakin's gone forever. And I think maybe he thought he was dead. I do think it would be cool to see Obi-Wan realize, oh, he's still alive, mm-hmm. and how he would react to that. But I don't know. I just don't see him going off to face Vader again, at least in my mind. And then you have the whole line with Vader, when we last met, I was but the learner. Now I'm the master. Like, how many times do they have to meet again? I feel like the last time that they met was perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it needs to happen again. So I've heard that this is a very real possibility. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep. Hopefully yesterday we heard everything that we need to know about it.
David Cornett wants to know if parents could refuse to let their Force-sensitive children be taken by the Jedi.
Molly literally just said, I feel like we've read this question before, and we have, but it got a lot of upvotes, so we'll talk about it again. I think that, yeah, it has to have happened over the years that Force-sensitive kids' parents were like, we'd like to keep our child, please. Mm-hmm. I don't see the Jedi forcibly taking anyone away from their family.
Yeah, there's an episode of The Clone Wars with Cad Bane where he is posing as a Jedi and goes to try to steal Force-sensitive babies, and once that parent finds out that he was not a real Jedi, she's like, oh, I shouldn't have let the Jedi, do anything with my baby. And
well, that one, and like, Cad Bane hypnotizes her, but there's this whole thing where she still thinks that he's a Jedi, and she is like, he's my only son.
Yeah, she's hesitant to give him up.
And, I mean, there may be a reason that that child was still with her. Like, the Jedi had him on a list already. Mm-hmm. Why didn't they go pick him up? Maybe they already tried, and she was like, no thanks, and they left him.
No thanks, he's great for party tricks.
Yeah. Look, he floats balls. So, yeah, I just can't see the Jedi hypnotizing or mind tricking, although that's like a really dark thing that I don't know, it'd be interesting to explore.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the further into the Clone Wars they get, maybe like insisting that...
Where they're like, we need,
like recruiting the Jedi for the cause or whatever, but I don't think that they're forcing parents into this.
Yeah. The Sith, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they straight up did. Like, Cad Bane was over kidnapping children for the Sith, so, I mean, yeah, they did it. But the Jedi... What I do think is that it probably happened rarely. I feel like a lot of the parents in the galaxy saw it as an honor. Like, we see Plo Koon find Ahsoka, and I think it's even said that all of the Togruidans were like, oh, this is great. We have a Force Sensitive. Yay, celebration. And I think that Ahsoka was probably, like, given away with excitement.
Yeah, and like you said about the Sith, I think they would more so just heavily tempt people to join their cause and be like, the dark side's better and more power. And
in the Myths and Fables book, which is, you know, take it with a grain of salt because
Myths and Fables.
Yeah, it's a myth or fable, but there's always truth in legends. And there's a character, a Sith Lord, who goes and convinces a woman to give up her child. He, like, sees that he's strong, specifically in the dark side of the Force, and he is like, I can give him a better life. It's very much like what the Jedi do, which I thought was interesting, but he's a little more forceful with it. Not physically, just like, you should really do this. And
no pun intended.
Yeah.
Colby Cowherd asks what we're most looking forward to at DragonCon. Everything.
Yeah, just having fun with other nerds.
Going on a mini vacation. Well, a staycation, because
it's just downtown.
It's downtown.
But it's with friends.
Yeah, seeing friends that we don't get to see a lot coming from out of town. Seeing the friends that we do see a lot already.
Yeah, just hanging out. But doing a panel with Jonas is pretty exciting. I have never had this much responsibility at DragonCon before. I've been on panels. I've moderated one panel before, but now I'm like heading up the Q&A with Chewbacca, and that's a lot. It's exciting.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we're also doing the episode 9 speculation panel, which hopefully, again, after D23, we'll have more to talk about.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm moderating that one as well. Molly's on that, and Caitlin and Charlotte from the Sky Talkers, and my trivia nemesis, Thomas. I'm also looking forward to winning trivia this year.
Sure.
It's going to happen.
Sure.
Finally.
I might get on the panel.
Yeah.
This year. We'll see.
What if you won it? What if you beat me? I'd kick the table off of the stage.
Oh, I would call.
I'm just kidding.
I would call Christian and be like, "All right, I'm back in."
I'd have to give you the belt. And then on Monday, we're doing a panel with Joseph Scrimshaw.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see him.
That'll be fun. It's more of like a humorous type panel,
which will be great because we'll be tired and hungover.
Sure,
but I'm just excited to see Joseph. We don't get to see our West Coast friends often enough, and I'm so psyched he's coming out.
Also, specifically on Friday, Looking for Leia is giving everybody a sneak peek at their documentary, which I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, they've been talking about that for a long time, and I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. And they're going to get like one of the rooms with a projector and all that, and we'll get to see it on a big screen. So if you're going to DragonCon, make sure to check that out. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content, and you get a guaranteed answer to your question every single week. And we're doing audio commentaries for the films and for the Clone Wars, and this week's episode is Death Trap with Boba Fett coming back into it.
Yeah.
And all of that's available right now if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Sand asks if we could see Owen and Beru in the said Obi Wan series.
You thought we were done. We're not done.
Really banking on them announcing this, but if they don't, these are still okay questions.
Yeah. Yes, I have to imagine that Owen and Beru would show up. Joel Edgerton, who played Owen in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, he's a much bigger name now than he was in 2002 and 2005, but he has said that he would love to come back and play the character. I feel like he meant it even as a cameo, but I would kind of hope that he would get more to do. Mm-hmm. Because he is a good actor and a bigger name, and I think it would be great to see he and Ewan work off of each other.
I was going to say, at first when I read this question, I was going to say probably not, or maybe just something from afar, kind of like what Rebels did.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think Uncle Owen would probably have a cameo over Beru, just because of his lines in A New Hope about Obi-Wan.
Yeah. We've kind of explored that stuff in the comics, but yeah, I think that Owen is confrontational with Obi-Wan and kind of like he goes out to his hut and gets in his face. I will say I wouldn't expect to see Luke unless it's from afar.
Right.
Kind of like I don't want to see Luke, I don't think. That would be...
Yeah, that's why I kind of thought no at first to seeing Owen and Beru, because we wouldn't want to see Luke.
That's true.
But now that I think about it, I think it would be cool if he came back to reprise his role and we saw Obi-Wan and Owen talk in an episode.
Yeah. Or even go on some adventure together. Like, see, I'm still on the whole, they should stay on Tatooine thing. They could go off and fight sand people or fight Jabba's thugs, which also happened in the comics. Like, there's some stuff that's already happened in the comics that I'm like, are they just going to do that again? Which would kind of be okay. I'm sure there's still plenty of other stories they could tell. But yeah, I really want to see Joel Edgerton come back as Owen.
Darth Revan wants to know if Zeb is Force sensitive since he channeled the Force in Star Wars Rebels.
I think no. So this is in the season 2 episode where they're searching for... It's like the very Battlestar Galactica-esque episode.
Oh, is it the Legend of Lasat episode?
Yeah, and there's like a mythical other homeworld for the Lasan people. Mm-hmm. And it's so Battlestar.
Yeah.
Star Wars is doing a lot of Battlestar stuff lately, but it's cool. And Zeb uses like this staff to guide the ship, guide the Ghost through a nebula or star cluster, and they get to their homeworld. And no, I don't think he's Force sensitive.
No.
I think he was using the Force in a way, but through that staff, if that makes sense.
I did read up a little bit about this episode when I was reading through the questions, and so we meet a couple other of his species, and he uses a bow rifle to like channel some sort of something or other to guide them in the right direction, but I don't think it's the Force. It's like some kind of Lasat technology.
Well, they talk about the Ashla and the Boga, and that's their other words for the dark side and the light side, and so I think that technology was harnessing the Force.
Could be, but I don't think he's Force sensitive himself. He was
Agreed.
Using things that worked through the Force.
Yes, something mystical was going on, but I don't think Zeb could become a Jedi,
right?
For example.
After reading about that episode, I was just thinking to myself, like, what a plethora of information there could be with the background of the Lasat people, because they just seem really cool.
But they're off on this mythical planet where you can only get to it by using your walking stick that can channel the Force, and so no one's going to ever be able to talk to them.
Well, Callus is there.
Yeah.
Living it up.
Yeah, Callus and Zeb are just married and hanging out now.
Life partners.
Yep.
GJP asks if the droid brain in the Falcon that enjoyed dirty jokes from The Last Jedi novelization is L3.
I think that has to be the implication. And I feel like, I don't want to say that this definitely happened, but I feel like Jason Fry, who wrote the novelization, tweeted some cheeky things where he was like, that was the implication, yes. Because by that point, I feel like he probably knew what was going to happen with L3, and he was trying to make a little connection that wouldn't make sense until Solo came out.
Yeah. Isn't there more than one droid brain, technically, in the Falcon?
Yes.
I think there's 3, but I definitely think that is a call out to L3, because it has to be.
I don't know what else it would be. It's why would someone program an affinity for dirty jokes into a computer for a ship, unless the droid programmed itself. But yeah, there's all those connections, like in The Empire Strikes Back, where 3PO says, I don't know where your computer learned how to communicate.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Like, Those little things.
I would highly recommend reading the novelization of Last Jedi and the other movies too, because there's a lot of little things like that in the books.
Yep.
Tristan Peterson wants to know how the BB-8 rollout YouTube videos fit into canon.
I wouldn't worry about that too much.
There's only been 2 episodes so far, and I went and looked at them today, and they're just silly. Like, in the description, it's like, this is a whimsical look for kids at the droids of Star Wars, and the comments section is riddled with people asking how they fit into canon, and it's just embarrassing. But
just assume it does not. It doesn't fit into canon. It's just a fun little thing.
I think it was more the second episode, because there's a creature that can shapeshift into assumingly whatever it wants. It shapeshifts into looking exactly like BB-8, and everybody was like, is that a real thing? Has that happened?
I mean, yeah, sure. I would, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all if there's a creature somewhere out in the galaxy that can shapeshift into whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Sure. Assume that's real. But for the most part, I don't think you need to worry about anything that happens.
No. But I did enjoy the episodes.
I haven't watched them yet.
The second one has kind of a callback to Lord of the Rings. It's got kind of a Shelob moment where BB-8 gets caught by a spider.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll have to watch them.
Yeah. Nathan Wilk asks if we could see other unfinished arcs of the Clone Wars be adapted to books or comics like Dark Disciple or Son of Dathomir.
I think, yeah, there's definitely potential for that. I really hope that they do continue those stories, because seasons 7 and 8 for the Clone Wars were written when the show was canceled.
Yeah.
So,
and there's no lack of love for Clone Wars content.
Yeah.
So I don't see why they wouldn't.
I don't think that they're going to keep making more episodes. I feel like since they're doing the Siege of Mandalore in season 7, like that was supposed to be the end of the show. I don't think they're going to continue making the show, but yeah, keep doing those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were tons that I've done a video before about like what seasons 7 and 8 were going to be. There were plenty of great stories to be told in there, and I do think that Dark Disciple was probably the biggest one, and the stuff with Maul is probably the second biggest. I don't know that the rest is going to affect the universe as much, but like if they're written, go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to see more content with Darth Maul in it for sure. Make Solo 2 happen. But yeah, all that Dathomir stuff should definitely continue.
That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.